When it comes to classic gaming, there's not really a genre I don't dabble in. I love my platformers, they're primarily my go-to on this channel, but even with the hectic schedule life throws at you, I every so often find a way to settle into a good RPG. I make it a point to put some time aside each year to work on that ever-growing bucket list of mine. When I got the evening free, I love a good sports game, especially with the right group of friends. When the boys are over, anything is fair game, from a solid beat 'em up to a well-refined fighter. The older you get, the more you cherish your free time, so I want to experience many of these classics with you all. If I'm out at an arcade, I tend to circle around a good racer. I like my racing games like I like my sports titles, arcadey and chaotic to all hell. I was never really a big fan of racing simulators like the Gran Turismos of the world. That's not a knock on them. I've just spent a great deal of my youth working on project cars, so I'd much rather drive a hot rod in real time than manually downshift with a controller. Plus, who wants the real feel of bumper to bumper rush hour traffic? Don't you wish you could just hit the NOS button and soar right over them, like the Cruisin' series? Those were my jams back in the day. Who didn't love taking the school bus on a cross-country trip for the ages? Look, let's not kid ourselves here. Most of us got our road rage out on friends. So these type of racers are best suited for my personality type, but to each their own. If I'm playing a racing game, bring the violence, give me some twisted metal, and while you're up, grab me a copy of Part 2. I had so many awesome memories pulling off some wild spectacles, so the idea of blowing shit up in the Batmobile is an entertaining idea. It sort of scratches several franchise itches for me all at once, hauling ass across the city as you chase down some of Gotham's most wanted perpetrators. I dig it, but who would be developing it? Clockwork Tortoise, huh? The same team who brought us that sweet Genesis release? Well, if they're in charge, I can rest easy here. I'm sure the visuals will turn out pretty wicked. I mean, they're working with the powerful new Sega CD hardware. This baby right here is a flippin' unit. It's like we upgraded from the Batmobile to the Tumbler. Plus, it's not like this is being made by Novotrade, so we got nothing to worry ourselves over, right? Well, before we put the pedal to the metal, let's buckle up first to see just what's in store for us since our last trip to Gotham. Today's story opens with an oh-so-familiar distress call from Commissioner Gordon. A large-scale bank heist is currently unfolding in downtown Gotham. Reports indicate the two suspects involved are on the move, currently fleeing the federal bank building. It looks as if Poison Ivy's got her green thumbs imprinted all over this evidence here too, as these perpetrators have direct ties to the Green Goddess. With zero time to spare, best believe it's time to take to the streets and hot pursuit here, because Batsy has a need for speed. As events unfold across the inner city streets of Gotham in pursuit of these high-speed baddies whom are tearing the freeway up as we speak, before you grip the wheel inside this cockpit, be sure to take a quick peek at the user manual. You're gonna need to get situated quickly here as time ticks away, knowing when and where to open up those jet turbines. It's critical to maneuver past the civilians on the roadways, differentiating between friend and foe prior to opening fire. The game will let you know the moment you screw this up too, quickly labeling you a menace to society. If you remain a careless wreck here, you soon find yourself on the Commissioner's shit list. Remember, you're just as much a detective here as you are an ass kicker, so stay in your lane till the opportunity presents. When you find that opportunity, be ready to hit those turbine boosters, opening her up to shred some rubber across the open highway, looking to gain ground on our duo. Once spotted in their rear view, they'll send a bouquet of bullshit your way, opening up their rear hatches to plant some tiny saplings into the pavement below, quickly transforming into little nightmares on the expressway. Their movement patterns are random as all hell, and their size will require you to veer past these killer crops through spatial mastery of these roadways. There's only a finite amount of damage your shields will take, so be mindful of these percentages so you don't get eaten alive here. In time, you will get your bearings up under you, find the perfect pocket to boost ahead, closing the gap on your opponents while locking in with your crosshairs for the key moment to strike, sending a wave of heat seekers into the rear end of these two, giving them a proper crash course in road etiquette. Continue to peel the roof off these sweet rides, and in time, you'll apprehend this duo, sending them back downtown for some much needed intel on Ivy. With Ivy and Violet detained, Batman can now place his focus on Poison Ivy as brand new animated cutscenes unfold before us. I like to call these scenes the lost episodes. Although heavily compressed due to the Sega CD hardware, the level of detail in this OVA is absolutely astounding. You have plenty of resources to watch them today, completely restored in their entirety to view online, so I strongly suggest you do. While preoccupied with this creature feature, Ivy has fled the scene, so make haste here, keeping on her heels as you look to close up her new floral delivery service before it takes off. Quite literally too. Once you draw near, she will dig her roots into any and all strategies you had moving forward, now with the help of Mother Nature, whom is hell-bent on course-correcting this tiny rodent, destroying her ecosystem. Poison Ivy will constantly bend her powers to her will, uprooting the roadways beneath you to decommission this mission. The sheer circumference of these great oaks here make it near impossible to avoid, especially a driving course full of them. Pair that with a flood of shrubberies, and you're beheaded down a path of no return. The constant ambushing makes this stage quickly chug, and it soon feels as if the only incentive to finish this mission is having the privilege of witnessing another one of those sweet cutscenes. If I'd rather watch an episode of this series than play one, then that's a problem. In other words, you're encouraging me to put the controller down at this point. With Ivy apprehended, Batman discovers a greater power play unfolding at large. It appears the Riddler has been fast at work crafting his latest line of tech gadgets. He set up shop at the local toy fair and kidnapped the commissioner as bait to lure old Batsy across town. This right here is the standout course of the bunch for me. Just a plain old high-speed, action-packed offering, bobbing and weaving through a fleet of freight trucks, looking to crush the Batmobile from all sides. This stage has this fast and furious feel about it, as if you're on a movie set, bringing down an orchestrated heist, like your old Toretto himself. No gimmicks, just you at the helm of the Batmobile, taking out some crooks while recovering some confiscated cargo, armed with an assortment of deadly devices designed by yours truly. You have plenty of time to anticipate these attacks as they unfold here. You just need to address things with a greater sense of urgency, since you're essentially racing against the clock to get the job done here, blowing shit up in style, amping up the challenge with each round cleared. If each stage was done this way, then we would have a winner on our hands, but unfortunately, the buck stops here. Thwarting the Riddler's plans results in you getting pulled into his new VR program. Personally, I'd rather be playing the Virtual Boy than succumb to this piss-green VR world. You'll be required to perform some mental gymnastics as you navigate across an obstacle course of coding, a crash course of chaos that plays on your perception, layered with encryption to drive him insane. The raceways are plagued with 3D source code programmed to steamroll right over you. This stage is the definition of game-breaking, riddled with nuances and preventing you from having any real fun. The overabundance of hazards strips the very life from this course. The irony here is this feels like the perfect stage to simulate some high-speed antics. This wouldn't be an issue if the hazards simply lowered your shields till you eventually took enough damage, but they kill any and all momentum and often leave you coming to a crashing halt. You know, for a Sega game, this is like the polar opposite of blast processing. This stage feels suffocating a majority of the time. Racing games should feel open and inviting, not a chore to venture through, which is locked behind an overabundance of these 3D gimmicks. The tracks themselves have potential, they're just executed poorly down the stretch. Take the next course for instance, the Joker's Lando Laughs, where Robin is now conveniently being held for ransom. A Madman Safari themed park, which doubles as an underground raceway. A Carney's wet dream, layered in diabolical devices that become more twisted the deeper you travel inside. Here no contestants win, in fact, no one survives. The inner structure houses a fine assortment of saw blades and harpoons, which speeds up the torture with time. The layout is quite baffling, so much so, even the animals have succumbed to the chaos, as they too appear to be numb to it all, hopped up on whatever new strain of laughing gas the Joker has conjured up here. They quickly parade back and forth, till they drive you mad I tell you, and by the second loop, you're being starved for a few additional ramps to soar right over the nonsense. If you wanted to artificially increase replay value, why not spruce up the approach? I don't think the answer to every stage is a greater emphasis on hazards, at least not from the very start. Every time I hit the boosters, I'm constantly reprimanded for it, and that's a shame because this stage could have been a blast to zip through. This raceway could have benefited from a few alternate paths or shortcuts which could be discovered to shave off some crucial seconds to reach that next loop. Why not incorporate in a variety of obstacles to play off the central themes? Perhaps a series of hills and valleys which require you to take a unique approach to achieve a greater time to overcome the various terrains, thus requiring memorization of the ins and outs of this raceway through some fun interactive moving parts, while additionally entertaining the player all the same. Thankfully, all that hard work will pay off. In fact, in our final act, events play out quite differently here, as we see a returning Clayface resurface in the season finale, whom requires far more than the Batmobile to bring him to justice. Thankfully he does, because the Batwing is a breath of fresh air, and a dream to handle, free from the confines of the concrete jungles we ventured across moments prior. You're essentially pulling a Superman 64 here, only steering the Batwing is far more manageable across the city's infrastructure. This freedom was needed from the very beginning. I mean shit, just look at these wider roadways here, you got plenty of room to lock on to targets. I'm not sure if the inclusion of the Batwing was a last minute decision here or not, but I'm just saying we needed more of this. This stage is quite simple and straightforward, however in time, it becomes an endurance round with multiple long stretches to beat out the clock. This stage focuses primarily on your technique with mastery of your controls. This is a fun surprise for a final segment, so have fun and pilot us home, because the moment you're victorious here, the rest is left to fate. As we soon discover, Clayface's chopper has taken a turn for the worse, losing all control as it takes a plunge below, submerged beneath the Great Lakes of Gotham City. The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega CD made excellent use of Sega's brand new CD-based add-on technology, treating Batman fans to a fresh new take on the now legendary run of animated series releases, an action-driven arcade racer at its core that implemented in unique 3D visuals and combat sequences that placed our beloved Batmobile on a high-speed collision course with some of the most revered villains across Gotham. Each of their dastardly plots were further explored through brand new animated cutscenes specifically made for this release. Each stage had unique visuals which showcased the additional horsepower the Sega CD was packing. The sheer magnitude of these audio and visual enhancements somewhat overshadowed gameplay here, making it feel far more like an afterthought. These concepts collectively look great on paper, yet the moment you rack a few miles on your odometer, an overabundance of hazards and obstacles begin to pile up, overwhelming you at every bend, taking the very element from this racer that makes you want to grip the wheel of this ride to begin with. This is the extreme speed of it all, and this title clips your legs out right from beneath you, which is ironic, as this game in particular was released on the very same console as a mascot whom relies on that speed. And that speed should absolutely be the very focal point here, established through great level design and a reward system that further expanded on these ideas. The moment I commit to a speed boost, I'm penalized for it with a margin of error that is constantly shrinking at all times. With that being the case, you ultimately wind up with a batch of stages that are simply a chore to play. In some ways, it feels as if they decided to just hand us a really good episode of the animated series as a consolation prize to mask these flaws. That's not to say I didn't enjoy certain aspects of this, such as the surprise I got in navigating the Batwing across the final act. I think there could have been a little more variation to switch up the pacing, such as an assortment of unique vehicles, placing less emphasis on battling the clock and more on the overall experience. It would have been awesome to witness a few more of Batman's iconic vehicles make a cameo here, like the Batcycle and the Batski. This one right here is for the die-hard Batman fan and retro enthusiast whom is eager to explore the vast depths of a more niche library. It scratches that itch when you have a few hours to kill, witnessing an exceptional array of cutscenes which treated fans to a never-before-seen feature exclusive to this console. It's a great historical piece that now sits among a curated list of Batman animated classics we 90s fans were blessed with throughout our childhoods.